The rainforest does not announce danger in the way most people expect. There is no warning rattle, no sudden movement through the undergrowth, no visible predator stepping into view. Instead, the threat often exists in stillness, embedded into surfaces that appear harmless at first glance. A low branch arcs across a narrow trail, its bark darkened by moisture, its leaves broad and glossy from constant humidity. It looks like something to push aside without thought. In the Amazon, that simple motion, an absent-minded reach of the hand or a brush of the shoulder, is exactly where the problem begins. Because resting along that branch, blending into its texture with near-perfect indifference, is a cluster of venomous caterpillars, their bodies arranged in tight formation, motionless, waiting without intention, yet perfectly positioned to make contact inevitable. These larvae do not hunt. They do not chase, track, or ambush in any active sense. Their entire strategy is built around placement, density, and the biological certainty that larger animals, including humans, will eventually touch the surfaces they occupy. Many species, particularly those in genera like Lonomia, Automeris, and Megalopyge, specialize in positioning themselves along trunk lines, on the underside of leaves, or along narrow pathways where contact is statistically unavoidable. The rainforest is dense, layered, and spatially constrained. Movement through it requires constant interaction with vegetation. Every step forward involves pushing, leaning, or brushing against something. And that is the opening these caterpillars exploit, not through intelligence or intent, but through evolutionary alignment with the structure of the environment itself. At a distance, they often resemble nothing more than extensions of the plant they rest on. Some mimic patches of moss or fungal growth, their colors muted into greens, browns, or pale grays that dissolve into bark patterns. Others adopt more aggressive disguises, appearing like dead leaves or even bird droppings, visual tricks that discourage closer inspection. But the most deceptive forms are those that look soft, almost inviting. Dense coats of fine hairs give certain species a velvety appearance, creating an illusion of harmlessness that is deeply misleading. Those hairs are not simple filaments. They are specialized structures, urticating spines or setae, each one capable of delivering venom when disturbed. The mechanics of that delivery are brutally efficient. The spines are fragile by design, snapping on contact and embedding into the skin. Each spine functions like a microscopic hypodermic needle, releasing venom as it breaks. In species like Lonomia obliqua, widely considered one of the most medically significant caterpillars in the world, the venom does not merely cause localized pain. It interferes with blood coagulation, leading to systemic effects that can include internal bleeding, kidney damage, and in severe cases, fatal outcomes if untreated. But even in less extreme species, the immediate sensation is unmistakable, a sudden, intense burning that spreads outward from the point of contact, often accompanied by swelling, redness, and a cascade of inflammatory responses. What makes this interaction particularly dangerous is its timing. There is no anticipation, no visual cue that allows for avoidance in the moment. The contact happens first. The realization comes after. A hand presses against bark to steady balance, and only then does the nervous system register something wrong. The pain arrives quickly, but the cause is not immediately visible. The caterpillars remain where they were, still aligned along the surface, their role already complete. This delay between action and awareness is where the rainforest's design becomes clear. It is not built around dramatic encounters. It is built around small, cumulative interactions where the cost of a mistake reveals itself too late to prevent it. Ecologically, this strategy is not about aggression. It is about defense, amplified by predictability. Caterpillars are vulnerable organisms. They are slow, soft-bodied, and rich in nutrients, ideal prey for birds, reptiles, amphibians, and predatory insects. They cannot outrun or outfight most threats. So instead, they transform their entire outer surface into a deterrent. The spines are not aimed. They do not need to be. By covering the body in thousands of venom-delivering points, the caterpillar ensures that any predator attempting to bite, peck, or grasp will receive immediate negative feedback. Over time, this creates learned avoidance in the ecosystem. Birds recognize the shapes and textures. Small mammals hesitate. Even experienced predators adjust their behavior around these species. But that same defensive system becomes an accidental hazard for anything else moving through the environment. Humans, lacking the evolutionary history with these specific organisms, often fail to recognize the warning signs. The rainforest does provide signals, contrasting colors, unusual textures, clustered arrangements, but those signals only work if the observer knows how to interpret them. To an untrained eye, a line of caterpillars along a branch may look like part of the plant itself. And because the rainforest demands constant physical interaction just to move forward, avoidance is not always practical, even when something is noticed. There is also a structural advantage in how these caterpillars group themselves. Many species cluster tightly, aligning their bodies in rows or dense patches. This increases the probability of contact with multiple individuals at once, amplifying the dose of venom delivered in a single interaction. A single spine can cause irritation. Dozens or hundreds can escalate that into a severe reaction. This clustering behavior is not random. It reflects both environmental constraints and biological benefits. Grouping can help regulate temperature, reduce individual predation risk, and enhance the effectiveness of their defensive systems. In a rainforest where survival often depends on maximizing impact with minimal energy expenditure, this is an efficient solution. From a physiological perspective, the venom itself varies widely between species, but it often contains a mix of proteins and compounds designed to disrupt cellular function, trigger pain receptors, and provoke strong immune responses. In some cases, these compounds interfere with clotting factors in the blood, creating effects that extend far beyond the initial contact site. This is where the caterpillar transitions from a localized hazard to a systemic threat. It is not just about the skin. It is about what happens inside the body once those compounds enter circulation. And because the initial encounter is so subtle, just a brush against a surface, the severity of the outcome can feel disproportionate, even though it is the direct result of a highly specialized evolutionary adaptation. The broader lesson embedded in this interaction is not about fear, but about how the rainforest distributes risk. It does not concentrate danger into obvious, singular predators. Instead, it spreads it across surfaces, behaviors, and assumptions. The idea that something must move, strike, or chase to be dangerous does not hold here. Danger can exist in stillness, in texture, in the simple act of touching something that appears neutral. Venomous caterpillars embody this principle with unusual clarity. They do not need to seek out contact. The environment brings contact to them. As the camera pulls back from that initial branch, revealing the density of the surrounding vegetation, the pattern becomes more apparent. Similar clusters appear on neighboring trunks, along hanging vines, beneath leaves that catch filtered sunlight. The rainforest is not filled with isolated hazards. It is layered with them, each one occupying a specific niche, each one interacting with the constant movement of life passing through. The caterpillars remain where they are, unchanged, their presence quiet but absolute. And the message they carry is simple but difficult to internalize. In this ecosystem, the most dangerous moments are often the ones that feel routine. The reach of a hand, the brush of a shoulder, the instinct to clear a path. These are not neutral actions. They are points of contact, and in the Amazon, contact is often where the real story begins. The rainforest does not hide all of its dangers. Some of them are placed deliberately in plain view, elevated just enough to intersect with movement, and colored in a way that seems almost counterintuitive in a world built on camouflage. A broad leaf holds a thin layer of water from the last passing rain, its surface reflecting filtered light through the canopy. A bromeliad cups a small reservoir at the base of its spiraled leaves, collecting organic debris and microlife in a suspended pool above the forest floor. Along these wet, elevated surfaces, small amphibians position themselves not as hidden inhabitants, but as visible signals, bright, sharply defined, and unmistakably present against the deep greens of the surrounding vegetation. Poison dart frogs, members of the family Dendrobatidae, do not rely on concealment in the way many rainforest animals do. Their survival strategy is built around the opposite principle. They are meant to be seen. Their bodies display intense coloration, vivid yellows, electric blues, deep reds, and contrasting black patterns that stand out even in the visually dense environment of the Amazon. This coloration is not decorative. It is aposematic, a biological signal that communicates toxicity to potential predators. It is a visual language shaped by repeated interactions over evolutionary time, where predators that ignored the signal paid a physiological cost, and those that learned to recognize it gained a survival advantage. What makes these frogs relevant in the vertical context of the rainforest is not that they descend from above, but that they occupy a layer of space that intersects directly with the movement paths of other organisms. They are often found perched on leaves at chest or head height, resting on the upper surfaces of plants, or positioned within the water-holding structures of epiphytes. These locations are not random. They provide access to moisture, which is critical for amphibian skin function, and they offer vantage points for foraging on small arthropods that move through the same layers. At the same time, these positions place the frogs exactly where a passing animal or a human hand might make contact without deliberate intention. Unlike the wandering spider, which responds to disturbance with rapid movement, or the black widow, which operates through a suspended web system, the poison dart frog does not need to react aggressively to be effective. Its defense is preloaded into its skin. The outer surface of the body contains alkaloid toxins, compounds that interfere with nerve and muscle function in predators. These toxins are not produced entirely by the frog itself, but are derived from its diet, particularly from ants, mites, and other small invertebrates that contain precursor compounds. Through metabolic processes, the frog sequesters and modifies these compounds, concentrating them in skin glands where they can be deployed passively upon contact. This creates a fundamentally different kind of interaction. There is no chase, no lunge, no active delivery mechanism in the moment of encounter. The toxin is already present at the interface between organism and environment. Contact is the trigger, but not in the sense of activating a response. The toxin does not need to be injected or projected. It is transferred through touch. A predator that attempts to bite, grasp, or even briefly mouth the frog encounters the chemical defense immediately. In some species, such as Philobates terribilis, the potency is extreme, with toxins capable of interfering with sodium channels in nerve cells, leading to paralysis and potentially fatal outcomes. In others, the effects may be less severe, but still sufficient to create strong aversive learning in predators. From an ecological perspective, this system depends heavily on recognition. The bright coloration is not just a warning, it is a reinforcement mechanism. Predators that have experienced the toxin, or that have evolved to recognize the pattern through inherited behavior, avoid these frogs, reducing the frequency of direct contact. This is why the frogs can afford to be visible. Their defense is not about surviving repeated attacks, but about preventing them through communication. The rainforest, in this sense, becomes a layered field of signals where color, pattern, and position convey information about risk. However, this system assumes a level of ecological literacy that not all animals possess. Juvenile predators, newly arrived species, or organisms outside the typical predator-prey network may not interpret the signal correctly. Humans, in particular, often fall into this category. The instinct to touch, to move, or to interact with visually striking elements of the environment can override caution, especially when the organism in question does not display overtly aggressive behavior. A small frog sitting motionless on a leaf does not trigger the same avoidance response as a snake coiled on the ground or a spider raising its front legs. It appears passive, even fragile. And yet, its entire body is a chemical interface designed to make that assumption costly. The vertical placement of these frogs amplifies this dynamic. In the rainforest, movement is rarely confined to a single plane. Navigating through dense vegetation involves constant adjustments, hands reaching out to steady balance, arms pushing aside leaves, bodies leaning into plant structures to create space. These actions bring skin into contact with surfaces at multiple heights. A frog positioned on a leaf at shoulder level is not an isolated object. It is part of the path, and because it does not move away or react dramatically when approached, it remains in place until contact occurs. There is also a subtle interplay between moisture and toxin effectiveness. Amphibian skin is highly permeable, allowing for gas exchange and water absorption, but also facilitating the transfer of chemicals. The humid environment of the rainforest maintains a thin film of moisture on the frog's skin, which can aid in the transfer of alkaloids upon contact. This does not mean that casual brushing will always result in significant envenomation, but it increases the likelihood that the toxin can move from the frog's surface to another organism's skin or mucous membranes. In predators that attempt to ingest the frog, this transfer is immediate and direct. In accidental human contact, the effects may vary depending on the species, the amount of toxin present, and the nature of the contact. The frogs themselves are not static elements in this system. They move, forage, and engage in behaviors that reflect a complex relationship with their environment. Males often call from elevated positions, their vocalizations carrying through the understory to attract mates and establish territory. Some species exhibit parental care, transporting tadpoles on their backs to small water pools held within bromeliads, effectively using the vertical structure of the forest as a nursery. These behaviors reinforce their presence in the upper layers of the immediate environment, keeping them within the same zones where contact with other animals is most likely. What emerges from this is a different interpretation of danger from above. It is not always about something descending rapidly or striking with force. It can also be about how the environment presents its hazards, how it places them within reach, integrates them into the pathways of movement, and signals their presence in a way that only works if the observer knows how to read it. The poison dart frog does not need to pursue or surprise. It relies on being encountered, on existing within the exact space where interaction is most likely, and on carrying its defense on the surface of its body. As the scene expands, the repetition of this pattern becomes evident. Multiple frogs occupy similar positions across different plants, each one a small, bright marker within the green complexity of the forest. They do not dominate the landscape in size or movement, but they define it in another way. They turn surfaces into interfaces, leaves into warning signs, and vertical space into a network of potential contact points where the cost of a mistake is encoded in chemistry rather than force. The intelligence of this system lies in its efficiency. There is no need for energy-intensive pursuit, no requirement for rapid reaction in the moment of threat. The defense is constant, always active, and always present at the point of interaction. It transforms the rainforest into a place where danger is not only hidden or dynamic, but also openly displayed, if one knows how to see it. And for those who do not, the lesson is immediate and physical. The first mistake is not chased down or escalated through a sequence of events. It is met at the surface, at the exact point where curiosity or routine movement turns into contact. In this way, the poison dart frog reframes the idea of how the rainforest delivers its hazards. It shows that from above does not always imply motion or descent. It can mean placement, strategic, visible, and deceptively passive. The toxins are not falling through the air. They are waiting on the leaf you move, the surface you touch, the layer you pass through without thinking. And in a system where so much depends on interpretation, the difference between recognition and oversight is often measured in a single, unguarded moment of contact. The rainforest does not always deliver its pressure through something you can see clearly or isolate as a single threat. In certain conditions, the danger is diffuse, suspended in the air itself, arriving not as an individual organism, but as a moving field that tracks heat, breath, and chemistry with relentless precision. The air feels heavy long before anything is visible. Humidity presses against the skin, trapping scent and moisture close to the body. Still, water lies pooled in shallow depressions, caught in leaf axils, tree holes, and the quiet margins of slow-moving streams. These are not passive features of the environment. They are production sites, each one capable of generating life in enormous numbers. And from these small, contained volumes of water, something rises that transforms the space above into a persistent, invasive layer of biological pressure. Mosquitoes, family Culicidae, do not operate as solitary threats in the way larger predators do. Their effectiveness is rooted in scale, sensory refinement, and the ability to convert atmospheric signals into directional movement. They are, in many ways, the most consistent expression of from above in the rainforest, not because they occupy height in a fixed sense, but because they descend into contact from the air column itself. They do not wait on a surface to be touched. They detect, approach, and arrive through open space, navigating gradients that are invisible to the human eye, but highly structured from their perspective. The process begins at a distance that feels abstract until it is understood in terms of sensory biology. Carbon dioxide, released with every exhalation, disperses into the air in a plume that expands and fragments as it moves through vegetation. For a mosquito, this plume is not diffuse noise. It is a directional cue, a chemical trail that can be followed upwind toward its source. Specialized receptors on the antennae detect changes in concentration, allowing the insect to orient itself relative to the gradient. This is not random flight. It is guided movement, adjusted continuously as the signal strengthens or weakens. As the mosquito closes distance, additional cues refine the approach. Body heat creates localized thermal gradients that can be detected at closer range, helping the insect identify areas of exposed skin where blood vessels are near the surface. Skin chemistry adds another layer of information, with compounds such as lactic acid, ammonia, and other metabolic byproducts providing a complex signature that varies between individuals. These signals do not operate in isolation. They intersect, overlap, and reinforce each other, creating a multi-dimensional map that the mosquito navigates with increasing precision as it moves closer to the host. What makes this system particularly effective in the rainforest is the environment's ability to preserve and amplify these signals. High humidity slows the evaporation of moisture, allowing chemical cues to persist longer in the air. Dense vegetation reduces airflow, preventing rapid dispersal and maintaining stronger gradients over shorter distances. Shade moderates temperature fluctuations, stabilizing thermal cues. The result is an atmosphere that holds information in place, turning the space around a moving organism into a detectable field that extends beyond immediate contact. When the mosquito reaches its target, the interaction shifts from detection to extraction. The mouth parts are not a single needle, but a complex bundle of specialized structures designed to penetrate skin and access blood vessels with minimal resistance. The outer sheath guides the process, while inner components work to pierce, probe, and locate a suitable vessel. Saliva is introduced during this process, containing anticoagulants that prevent clotting and compounds that modulate the host's immune response, allowing the mosquito to feed without immediate interruption. This moment is often perceived as a minor irritation, a brief puncture, a slight itch that follows. But within the broader context of the rainforest, the significance of that interaction expands rapidly when multiplied across scale and time. A single bite is negligible. Dozens, delivered within minutes, begin to alter behavior. Hundreds, accumulated over hours or days, create a sustained physiological and psychological burden. The body responds with inflammation, itching, and localized swelling. But the more significant effects emerge from the cumulative impact on attention, rest, and decision-making. Swarm behavior is not always visible as a dense cloud in the way it is often imagined. In many cases, it manifests as a constant presence of individuals arriving in succession, each guided by the same signals, each acting independently but contributing to a collective pressure. The effect is continuous rather than episodic. There is no clear start or end. The insects are simply there, arriving, feeding, departing, and being replaced by others drawn to the same cues. In this context, the idea of toxic rain becomes less about a single dramatic event and more about sustained exposure to a distributed system of contact points. Each bite introduces saliva that can trigger immune responses. More critically, in regions where vector-borne diseases are present, each interaction carries the potential for pathogen transmission. The Amazon is home to multiple mosquito species capable of transmitting diseases such as malaria, dengue, and other viral or parasitic infections. The mosquito is not just extracting blood. It is acting as a vector, moving biological agents between hosts in a way that can have long-term consequences far beyond the initial encounter. Even in the absence of disease, the cumulative effect of repeated bites alters how an organism interacts with its environment. Constant irritation disrupts concentration. Sleep becomes fragmented or insufficient, particularly when exposure continues into nighttime hours. The need to swat, scratch, or adjust position introduces small repeated movements that can interfere with tasks requiring precision or awareness. In a controlled environment, these effects might be manageable. In the rainforest, where navigation requires continuous attention to footing, obstacles and potential hazards, even minor lapses can cascade into larger problems. There is also a feedback loop embedded in this system. Movement increases heat production and accelerates respiration, strengthening the signals that attract more mosquitoes. Sweat introduces additional chemical cues, further enhancing detectability. Attempts to escape the insects, through faster movement or changes in location, can inadvertently intensify the very signals that guide them. The organism becomes both the target and the amplifier of the conditions that draw the swarm. From an ecological perspective, mosquitoes occupy a role that extends beyond their interactions with larger animals. Their larvae develop in water, feeding on microorganisms and organic matter, contributing to nutrient cycling within these small aquatic systems. As adults, they serve as prey for a variety of species, including fish, amphibians, and other insects. Their presence is integrated into the broader food web, even as their feeding behavior imposes costs on other organisms. This dual role, both as consumers and as vectors, positions them as a significant but often underestimated component of rainforest dynamics. The vertical dimension of their activity is subtle but important. Mosquitoes do not simply rise from the ground and disperse randomly. They occupy the air column at various heights, moving through layers that correspond to the distribution of hosts and environmental conditions. In the understory, where humidity is highest and movement is constrained, they can accumulate in significant numbers. In the canopy, different species may dominate, adapted to the conditions present at those heights. For an organism moving through the forest, this means that exposure is not uniform. It changes with elevation, time of day, and proximity to breeding sites. As the scene progresses, the camera captures the near-invisible movement of individuals crossing the frame, their presence only fully revealed when light catches their wings or when they settle briefly on exposed skin. The sound, a faint, persistent whine, builds gradually, becoming part of the ambient environment. It is not overwhelming at first, but it does not fade. It remains layered over the other sounds of the forest, a constant reminder that the air itself is active. This is where the chapter expands the idea of threat beyond the visible and the singular. The rainforest does not rely solely on organisms that announce themselves through size, color, or movement. It also deploys pressure through accumulation, through the repeated action of small agents operating in coordination with environmental conditions. The mosquito does not need to be large or individually powerful. Its effectiveness emerges from numbers, from persistence, and from its ability to convert the basic functions of a living body, breathing, heating, moving, into signals that guide it directly to its target. In this system, from above, is not a dramatic descent from a branch or a sudden strike from a hidden perch. It is the continuous arrival of contact from the air, guided by invisible gradients that the organism cannot easily suppress. The needles are small, the interactions brief, but the aggregate effect reshapes behavior, physiology, and risk. It forces attention inward toward irritation and discomfort at the exact moment when attention outward is most critical. The rainforest, in this sense, does not need to overwhelm with singular events. It can erode control through repetition, through the steady accumulation of minor disruptions that build into something more significant over time. The mosquito embodies this approach with precision. It turns the space above into a delivery system, a medium through which contact is not only possible, but inevitable. And in doing so, it reinforces the central idea that runs through every layer of this environment. Danger does not always arrive as something you can prepare for. Sometimes it is already in the air, already moving toward you, already part of the environment you are breathing. The rainforest does not always resolve its conflicts through speed or spectacle. In many cases, the outcome is decided before movement even begins, fixed by position, angle, and the quiet geometry of who occupies which layer. A thin stem angles outward from a larger branch, its surface slick with moisture and lined with microscopic textures that catch light only at certain angles. Beneath it, an insect navigates the underside of a leaf, moving along a path dictated by structure rather than awareness. Above that same pathway, pressed flat against the edge where stem meets leaf, something else is already in place, still integrated into the surface and oriented with exact precision toward the space below. The assassin bug, family Reduviidae, does not rely on overwhelming force or dramatic confrontation to secure its place in the rainforest. Its advantage is narrower, more exacting, and far less forgiving. It occupies edges, literal edges of leaves, stems, bark fissures, and plant junctions, where two planes meet and where movement beneath those planes becomes predictable. These are not random perches. They are intersections of traffic, points where prey must pass, often exposing the most vulnerable parts of their bodies in the process. The underside of an insect, with its softer cuticle and accessible joints, is not always visible from the ground. But from above, from a slightly offset angle, it becomes an exposed target. This is where the assassin bug builds its entire strategy. It does not chase. It does not pursue across distances or rely on sustained movement. Instead, it compresses the hunting sequence into a single, decisive interaction. Detection, alignment, and strike are all anchored to position. The insect moves. The bug remains still. And because the insect's path is constrained by the structure it moves along, its trajectory is not entirely its own. It is guided by the shape of the leaf, the angle of the stem, the tension of the environment. The assassin bug simply occupies the point where that path becomes predictable. Camouflage is not just visual concealment in this system. It is structural integration. Many assassin bugs adopt coloration and textures that match bark, lichen, or the matte surfaces of leaves. Some species accumulate debris on their bodies, effectively altering their outline and reducing contrast against the background. Others rely on stillness so complete that they become indistinguishable from the surface they rest on. But beyond appearance, their body posture contributes to the disguise. Flattened against a surface, legs tucked or extended in ways that break up recognizable shapes, they present no obvious silhouette that signals danger. The rainforest is full of irregular forms. The assassin bug becomes one more What differentiates this predator is the tool it uses once the moment arrives. The rostrum, a rigid, needle-like mouthpart, is held folded beneath the body until needed. When deployed, it is driven forward with speed and precision, piercing the prey's exoskeleton at a point that maximizes access to internal tissues. This is not a tearing or crushing action. It is a puncture, clean, targeted, and immediately functional. Through this structure, the bug delivers a mixture of enzymes and toxins that begin breaking down the prey's internal components almost instantly. The process is both mechanical and chemical. The rostrum establishes the connection. The saliva does the work. The composition of that saliva reflects the predator's need for efficiency. Enzymes liquefy tissues, converting solid structures into a form that can be ingested through the same piercing apparatus. Neurotoxic components can immobilize the prey, reducing resistance and preventing escape. In many cases, the prey does not experience a prolonged struggle. The strike is fast, the injection immediate, and the physiological effects begin before any coordinated response can occur. The assassin bug does not need to overpower its prey physically. It bypasses that requirement by targeting function directly. From above, this interaction is almost invisible until it is complete. The insect below continues its movement until the exact moment of contact. There is no warning display, no preparatory motion that signals an impending strike. The assassin bug does not advertise its presence. It does not need to. Its success depends on remaining undetected until the last possible instant. And because it operates from a position that is not commonly monitored by its prey, that invisibility is easier to maintain. The rainforest reinforces this advantage through its density and layering. Leaves overlap, creating multiple levels of shadow and light. Stems intersect at angles that produce small corridors of movement. Bark surfaces fracture into ridges and crevices that can conceal an organism entirely. For a predator that relies on precise positioning, this environment is not chaotic. It is structured opportunity. Every angle offers a potential ambush point. Every overhang creates a zone where something moving below is momentarily exposed. There is also a temporal element to this strategy that is often overlooked. The assassin bug does not need to act continuously. It can remain in place for extended periods, conserving energy while waiting for the correct alignment of factors, prey presence, position, and orientation. This patience is not passive. It is an active component of the hunting system. By reducing unnecessary movement, the bug minimizes the chance of detection and maximizes the effectiveness of its eventual strike. In a system where many interactions are brief and decisive, timing becomes as important as anatomy. For larger animals moving through the rainforest, this dynamic is not always directly perceptible, but it still applies. The same structural features that guide small insects also influence how hands, feet, and bodies interact with the environment. When a person reaches beneath a leaf or along a branch, they enter the same spatial relationship that the assassin bug exploits. The difference is scale, not principle. The bug is not targeting humans, but it occupies the same positions where contact is most likely to occur. And like many small predators in the Amazon, it carries a defensive capability that can be activated if that contact becomes direct. Some assassin bugs are known to deliver painful bites to humans when handled or pressed against the skin. The rostrum that pierces insect cuticle is fully capable of penetrating human skin, and the injected saliva can cause localized pain, swelling, and irritation. This is not their primary ecological role, but it underscores the broader pattern. Organisms that are built to operate with precision on a small scale can still produce noticeable effects when interactions occur outside their typical context. More important than the direct interaction is the principle that underlies it. The assassin bug does not need size, speed, or overwhelming force to be effective. It needs position. By controlling a point above the path of movement, it gains access to a perspective that its prey does not share. From that perspective, vulnerability is exposed. The underside of a body, the junction between segments, the thin areas where structure gives way to flexibility, all become visible targets. The rainforest, with its vertical complexity, amplifies this asymmetry. It creates layers where one organism can see and reach another without being seen in return. As the sequence draws to a close, the camera tracks along multiple surfaces, leaf edges, stem intersections, bark ridges, revealing similar setups repeated across the environment. Each one is a potential interaction waiting to happen, defined by the same principles of alignment and timing. The assassin bug is not an isolated case. It is one expression of a broader pattern that runs through the entire system. The earlier chapters have shown different variations of this pattern. The caterpillars that turn surfaces into contact hazards, the widow that suspends its detection system in the air, the wandering spider that converts disturbance into immediate action, the frogs that encode toxicity into visible placement. Each operates differently, but all rely on the same underlying advantage: control of the space above. They occupy the layer that others move beneath, and in doing so, they gain the first opportunity to act. The assassin bug distills that idea into its simplest form. No web, no display, no overt warning. Just position, precision, and a strike that begins and ends before the prey fully registers what has happened. It is not dramatic. It is not loud. It is exact. And in the rainforest, that is often enough. Height, in this system, is not just a matter of elevation. It is a matter of perspective and control. The organism that holds the higher position, whether on a leaf, a branch, or a suspended structure, often defines the interaction before it begins. It sees what passes below. It chooses when to act. And because the movement of others is constrained by the environment, that choice is rarely challenged. In the end, the rainforest reveals its logic not through a single dominant predator, but through a network of small, precise interactions that repeat across scales and species. The space above is not empty, not passive, and not secondary. It is occupied, structured, and actively used. And for those moving beneath it, the difference between passing through safely and becoming part of that system often comes down to something as simple and as unforgiving as who holds the position above. The rainforest does not end at the ground. It rises, folds, and suspends itself into layers that most animals, and most people, move through without fully accounting for what exists just above their line of sight. A fallen log bridges a narrow stream, its underside dark and hollowed by decay. Tangled roots hang from a bank where water has eroded the soil, forming a shallow overhang. A sheet of bark peels away from a trunk, leaving a narrow cavity between wood and air. These are not dramatic structures. They are quiet, ordinary features of a humid ecosystem in constant breakdown and renewal. And yet, within these small architectural pockets, the rainforest builds a different kind of threat, one that does not sit in front of you or move across your path, but hangs, waits, and operates from a position that is rarely checked until it is too late. Suspended within these spaces, anchored to irregular surfaces and stretched across narrow gaps, are webs that do not announce themselves with symmetry or shine. They are loose, three-dimensional constructions, irregular in shape, often tucked into shadow where light does not catch their strands. Unlike the classic orb webs that display geometry in open air, these webs are built for concealment and function within cluttered environments. The silk threads extend outward in multiple directions, forming a tension network rather than a visible trap. And at the center, or just above this structure, positioned slightly out of the main plane of disturbance, rests the spider. In this context, the black widow does not appear as a hunter in motion. It exists as a fixed point within a system that reacts the moment something else moves incorrectly. The genus Latrodectus, which includes the black widow and its close relatives, is not exclusive to the Amazon, but its behavioral strategy fits seamlessly into rainforest conditions. High humidity preserves silk elasticity. Dense vegetation creates endless anchor points. Constant insect activity ensures a steady flow of potential prey. More importantly, the complexity of the environment allows the spider to occupy spaces that are structurally invisible to larger animals. Under a branch, inside a hollow root mass, beneath a wooden ledge, or within the dark seam of a fallen trunk, the web becomes part of the environment's hidden framework. It is not meant to be seen. It is meant to be encountered. What defines this system is not just the web itself, but the vertical positioning of the spider relative to it. In many cases, the spider occupies a slightly elevated point above the main tangle of silk, suspended or braced against a surface that allows it to remain still while monitoring vibrations transmitted through the threads below. This arrangement creates a layered interaction zone. The web detects disturbance. The spider interprets it. And because the spider is positioned above or adjacent to the point of contact, it can move downward or laterally with immediate precision. The direction of response is not outward from the ground. It is inward and downward from above. This matters because most animals, including humans, are conditioned to scan the space in front of them and at ground level for threats. Movement is tracked horizontally. Obstacles are identified visually before contact. But the overhead space, especially in low, cluttered environments, is often treated as empty unless something visibly occupies it. That assumption fails in the rainforest. The air above is not empty. It is structured, occupied, and in many cases actively monitored by organisms that rely on exactly that blind spot to function effectively. When a web is disturbed, the signal is immediate. Vibrations travel through silk at speeds and sensitivities that allow the spider to differentiate between types of contact. A struggling insect produces a chaotic high-frequency pattern. A falling leaf generates a different signature. A larger, slower movement, such as a hand brushing against the web or a shoulder pressing into an overhang, creates a broader, more forceful disturbance. The spider does not decide in a conscious sense, but its nervous system is tuned to interpret these signals and trigger a response that is both rapid and targeted. It moves along pre-tensioned khutut of silk, closing distance with minimal wasted motion, orienting itself toward the source of vibration. In prey interactions, this results in a sequence of wrapping, immobilization, and eventual envenomation. But in defensive or accidental encounters, the interaction is shorter and more direct. If the spider is pressed, trapped, or forced into contact against a surface, such as when a hand grips the underside of a log or pushes into a root cavity, the bite becomes the primary response. There is no need for web-mediated restraint. The contact is already established. And because the spider's position is above or adjacent to the disturbance, that contact often occurs in areas that are not immediately visible to the person or animal involved. The venom of Latrodecta species is neurotoxic, centered around a component known as alpha-latrotoxin. This compound targets nerve terminals, triggering the uncontrolled release of neurotransmitters. The result is not localized tissue damage in the way some venoms operate, but a systemic disruption of communication between nerves and muscles. Pain is one of the earliest and most prominent symptoms, often described as deep, spreading, and difficult to localize. Muscle rigidity can follow, along with cramping that radiates through larger muscle groups. In more severe cases, the effects can extend to the chest, abdomen, and back, creating a physiological state that feels disproportionate to the size of the organism responsible. What is important in this context is not just the chemistry of the venom, but the mismatch between expectation and outcome. The spider is small, often no more than a few centimeters in body length. Its presence is subtle, its web nearly invisible, its movement quick but not dramatic. There is no visual escalation that signals increasing danger. And yet, the physiological response it can trigger operates at a scale far beyond its size. This disconnect reinforces the broader pattern of the rainforest. Threat is not always proportional to visibility or apparent power. It is embedded in systems that function quietly until contact is made. From an ecological perspective, the success of black widows and similar spiders in these environments is tied to their ability to occupy transitional spaces, areas where structure changes from solid to open, from grounded to suspended. These are the same spaces that other animals must pass through to move, forage, or seek shelter. A hollow beneath a root is not just a void, it is a corridor. The underside of a branch is not just a surface. It is a handhold, a path, a point of leverage. By placing their webs in these zones, spiders intersect with the predictable movements of larger organisms without needing to pursue them. There is also a subtle advantage in how these spiders manage energy and exposure. Remaining suspended above the main disturbance zone allows them to conserve movement while maintaining a high level of awareness through their silk network. They do not need to patrol. The web extends their sensory reach. At the same time, being positioned above reduces the likelihood of direct predation from ground-based hunters. It is a balance between accessibility and protection achieved through spatial placement rather than active defense. As the scene widens, the pattern repeats. Under multiple branches, within overlapping root systems, inside the layered decay of fallen wood, similar webs occupy similar positions. Each one is a small, localized system, independent yet functionally identical. Together, they create a distributed network of suspended hazards that do not compete with each other, but instead fill the available architecture of the forest. The airspace, especially at low heights, becomes a patchwork of invisible boundaries, each one defined by silk and monitored by a patient, stationary organism. The psychological shift this creates is subtle but profound. Movement through the rainforest begins to feel less like navigating a path and more like entering a space that is already occupied in dimensions that are easy to ignore. The ground is not the only surface that matters. The branches above, the gaps between structures, the shaded cavities beneath overhangs, all of them hold potential interactions. The black widow does not need to assert itself to be effective. Its presence is enough because it exists exactly where attention is weakest. In this way, the threat becomes narrower, more intimate, and more difficult to anticipate. It is no longer about avoiding something large and visible. It is about recognizing that the space just above the body, within arm's reach, within the range of a casual movement, is structured by organisms that rely on being overlooked. The rainforest does not simply surround you. It extends into the air you move through, filling it with systems that are already in place, already active, and already waiting for the smallest disruption to bring them into contact with you. The rainforest does not always rely on stillness to deliver its dangers. In some layers, silence is not a strategy of concealment but a prelude to movement. The canopy and understory are not static backdrops but suspended systems of leaves, stems, and tangled growth that shift with the slightest disturbance. A broad leaf flexes under accumulated moisture. A vine trembles as something passes through the layers above. A cluster of dead foliage shifts position as it dries and curls inward. These are constant, low-level motions, ambient signals that blend into the background noise of the forest. But within that layered instability, there are organisms that do not merely wait for contact. They interpret it, react to it, and close distance with speed that feels disproportionate to their size. Among them, the Brazilian wandering spider, genus Phonutria, represents a shift in how overhead threat is experienced. Unlike web-building spiders that externalize their sensory systems into silk, this animal carries its detection, its movement, and its response entirely within its own body. It does not rely on a fixed structure to intercept prey or disturbance. It occupies the structure itself, leaf surfaces, folded vegetation, hollow plant bases, and the dense clutter of organic debris that accumulates in humid environments. The rainforest provides endless micro-shelters, each one a pocket of shade, moisture, and concealment. And within these pockets, the wandering spider positions itself not as a passive inhabitant, but as a mobile component of the system. During daylight hours, many individuals remain tucked into protective spaces. A curled leaf becomes a chamber. The base of a bromeliad, where water collects and insects gather, forms a layered refuge. The underside of fallen plant matter creates a narrow cavity just large enough to conceal a body flattened against the surface. These are not random choices. They are thermally stable zones, buffered from direct sunlight, retaining humidity that prevents desiccation. For an arthropod with a high surface area to volume ratio, maintaining internal water balance is critical. The rainforest solves that problem, but only if the animal selects the right micro-habitats. In doing so, the spider also positions itself within the pathways of other organisms, small amphibians seeking moisture, insects drawn to decaying material, and vertebrates navigating through tight vegetation. As light levels drop and temperature gradients shift, the spider transitions from concealment to activity. It does not spin a web to extend its reach. It extends itself. Movement is deliberate, controlled, and often directed along vertical surfaces or through suspended vegetation. Leaves are not obstacles, but platforms. Stems are not barriers, but corridors. The spider navigates three-dimensional space with an efficiency that reflects both anatomical design and environmental familiarity. Its long legs allow it to bridge gaps, distribute weight across unstable surfaces, and maintain contact with multiple points simultaneously. Sensory hairs detect vibrations not through silk, but directly through contact with the substrate, allowing the spider to interpret subtle changes in its immediate environment. What distinguishes this species in the context of overhead threat is not just its mobility, but its readiness to respond aggressively when disturbed. The defensive posture of Phoneutria is unmistakable. When confronted, it raises its front legs, elevates its body, and exposes its fangs in a display that is both a warning and a preparation for action. This posture is not theatrical. It is functional. By lifting the anterior portion of the body, the spider aligns its chelicerae for a forward strike, reducing the distance required to deliver a bite. The raised legs increase apparent size, potentially deterring larger animals, but they also serve as sensory extensions, probing the space in front of the spider for movement. In a dense rainforest environment, this interaction often unfolds in confined spaces. A hand reaches into a cluster of leaves to clear a path. A foot steps onto a pile of plant debris, compressing layers that conceal what lies beneath. A shoulder pushes against hanging vegetation, causing a cascade of small shifts above. These actions do not resemble a direct attack from the human perspective. They are routine movements, necessary for progression through the environment. But from the spider's position, elevated, concealed, and already oriented within that space, these disturbances represent immediate, localized threats. The response is fast, but not random. The spider does not leap blindly. It closes distance along surfaces it is already in contact with, or it drops and reorients mid-motion using silk drag lines that stabilize its descent. In some cases, it may lunge forward from a perch, covering a short distance with surprising speed. The key element is directionality. The movement originates from above or within the vegetation, not from the ground. It collapses the vertical space between organism and contact point in a fraction of a second, turning what seemed like empty air into an active pathway. The venom of Phoneutria species is among the most potent of any spider, composed of a complex mixture of neurotoxins that target ion channels in nerve cells. These compounds interfere with the normal transmission of electrical signals, leading to a cascade of effects that can include intense pain, muscle contractions, and in severe cases, systemic symptoms affecting the cardiovascular and respiratory systems. The bite itself is often described as immediately painful, a sharp, penetrating sensation that does not remain localized. Instead, the discomfort radiates, reflecting the widespread impact of the venom on nerve function. What makes this interaction particularly unsettling is the combination of speed, proximity, and escalation. Unlike the black widow, where the web mediates the encounter and the bite often occurs after a sequence of contact and entanglement, the wandering spider compresses the entire sequence into a single moment. Detection, approach, and envenomation can occur almost simultaneously. There is no intermediate stage where the presence of the animal is clearly perceived before contact. The first clear signal is often the bite itself. From an ecological standpoint, this strategy reflects a different balance of risks and rewards. By abandoning a fixed web, the spider gains mobility and access to a wider range of prey. It can exploit transient opportunities, move between micro-habitats, and avoid areas where conditions become unfavorable. But this mobility also increases exposure to predators and environmental variability. The defensive posture and potent venom serve as compensatory adaptations, reducing the likelihood of successful predation by larger animals. In a system where many organisms are both predator and prey depending on context, the ability to quickly deter or incapacitate a threat is a significant advantage. The rainforest amplifies this advantage through its structural complexity. Overlapping leaves create multiple layers of concealment. Hanging vines and epiphytes introduce vertical pathways that connect different parts of the habitat. Moisture and organic debris generate countless small cavities where an animal can remain hidden until disturbed. For a wandering predator, this is not a chaotic environment. It is a network of opportunities. Every layer adds potential ambush points, every surface offers a route of movement, and every disturbance becomes a signal that can be interpreted and acted upon. There is also an important behavioral nuance in how these spiders interact with larger animals. They are not actively seeking to bite humans or large vertebrates. Their primary targets are insects, small amphibians, and occasionally other arthropods. The aggressive response is defensive, triggered by direct disturbance or perceived threat. But because the rainforest forces constant contact with vegetation, the frequency of these accidental encounters increases. The spider does not need to pursue a large animal. It only needs to be in the right place when that animal makes contact. As the camera tracks upward through the vegetation, following the path of a disturbed leaf cluster, the pattern becomes clearer. What appeared to be a uniform layer of green is in fact a dynamic surface, occupied by organisms that use it as both shelter and hunting ground. The wandering spider moves through this space with a level of integration that makes it difficult to isolate visually until it moves. And when it does, the movement is not exploratory or hesitant. It is direct, controlled, and oriented toward the source of disturbance. This transforms the concept of from above into something more immediate and more active. The threat is not waiting passively on a surface to be touched. It is positioned within the structure, ready to respond to the slightest intrusion. The air above is not just occupied. It is monitored, navigated, and, when necessary, used as a pathway for rapid engagement. In the broader context of the rainforest, this represents a shift in how danger is distributed. It is no longer confined to surfaces or specific locations. It is embedded in movement itself. Every interaction with the environment, every leaf pushed aside, every branch displaced, has the potential to trigger a response from something that was already there, already oriented, already prepared to act. The Brazilian wandering spider embodies this dynamic with unusual clarity. It does not rely on the environment to deliver contact. It uses the environment to position itself so that when contact occurs, it can respond immediately. The result is a system where overhead space is not just a passive layer of vegetation, but an active field of potential interactions. The structures that support life in the rainforest, leaves, stems, roots, and debris, also support organisms that move through them with precision and speed. And in that system, the difference between safety and hazard is often measured not in distance, but in awareness. The space above the body is not empty. It is a living network, and within it, some of its smallest inhabitants carry the capacity to turn a routine movement into a sudden, intensely physical encounter that unfolds faster than the mind can fully process.